Francisco Lindor, out 7 to 9 weeks. Have you ever heard of a more ominous timetable than 7 to 9 weeks? I mean, really, let's break that down. Let's be a doctor a little bit. What's happening with this? 7 weeks would be a month and 3 weeks, a month and 3 quarters. 9 weeks is 2 months and a week. Well, the season is only 7 weeks away, so Lindor might miss 2 weeks of the regular season. Is this timetable aggressive? This falls back to be a doctor. He's just going to miss 7 to 9 weeks, and then you're going to get full 100% Lindor. He's going to be back. He's going to be stealing. I don't know about that. And this just shows how hard these guys work in the offseason. What was he doing you called it a calf strain. That sounds like a calf tear. It sounds like he tore what was he doing? Powerlifting? I bet my boy was powerlifting, and now he's out 7 to 9 weeks. So he's got to be discounted appropriately. Do you think so? He's injured. I know he's 25. Is he going to be back to 100% strength? And that calf is never going to affect him again when he's got to burst out of the box, or when he's playing shortstop and he has to range and he has to make jump throws. I mean, which calf was it? What about generating power? Where does the power come from in the swing? Oh, it comes from the legs, from the foundation. Well, how's it going when he's got this calf strain that held him out 7 to 9 weeks? I mean, did you have to use such odd numbers? Could it just have been 10 weeks? Maybe 10 weeks? 7 to 9? So we have no idea. We have no idea how long he's going to be out. Big shout out to the subscribers. Welcome back to the show. I've got tons to cover. I'm hoping to pack it in. The big thing today is the starting pitcher review. But before I get to that, Yahoo free auctions are open. So they're open now. You can go into Yahoo Fantasy Baseball. You can check draft. Then you can go to draft analysis and then click on auction drafts, and you're starting to see prices. So that got me going. I figured I got to get my list right. I went out, I did closers. That episode's coming. I did my catchers. That episode's coming. I cleaned up my middle infield because I had to be ready to get my first auction in. And so one of the things, Yahoo's probably only going to give you a maximum of 6 leagues. I forget if it's 6 or if it's 8. I think it's 6. So sometimes I like to spread those out. But there's a big difference, and we're seeing it right now, between early drafts and late drafts, or drafts that are really close to the season. When you draft really early, you're leaving yourself open to 6 to 7 to 9 weeks of not knowing, is a guy going to get injured? He's going to get hurt in the preseason. He's going to fracture something. He's going to tear an ACL. So early drafts, the advantage is that the prospect hype isn't out. Not everybody's done all their preparation. But as you move through the preseason and guys start, he's hitting 400 in the preseason, or he hit 5 home runs, draft prices and auction prices are going to kind of skyrocket. So sometimes I like to get in early. I get in early because I can get the prospects that I want, and I don't have to necessarily overpay. So I'm looking to spread out my drafts. I want to give you guys kind of the forecast of where we're going. I'm going to get an auction in next week. I'm going to get my first one in. I'll spend this week kind of tightening it up. But real quick, let's review a couple concepts about draft strategy and team composition and prices and targets. So real quick, in some of these prices, I jump over into the first base. And if we're going to get value, if we're going to look to really have a deep team, I may not want to buy the most premium player. I want to hope that I can scout. I can go a little bit down the list. I can get somebody a little cheaper who's undervalued, who's going to perform just as well as somebody that they're paying premium money for. Like Freddie Freeman is going for $38. Let's call him a 40 player. And if there's going to be a fight, that's going to be 45. And what people are buying is certainty. They just know that Freddie's got average. People know what Freddie did in the playoffs last season, so they're paying that high dollar value. But if I scan down, look at Rhys Hoskins going for 25, Cody Bellinger going for 24. I'm comfortable there. I'm comfortable. I'll take a $20 discount because I've got to go get other players. And just to show some targets, scan down that first base list a little bit. Who's the last guy you're comfortable landing with? Where do you want to live? Jesus Aguilar for 17? Maybe that's the last guy I'm interested in. Joey Gallo, 12. Matt Olson, 15. I don't know if I want those two guys destroying my batting average all season. So So in some sense, I have to work in that I might have to pay a little bit more to know that I at least land at Reese or Bellinger before I'm stuck chasing ridiculous first base players. I mean, and then you have Ian Desmond going for 10, Profar for 6. I mean, that's not going to be okay. Those guys can't be my first base. So I'm going to have to build around that a little bit. Let me pop over to another position here. I noticed something in the draft strategy that there's this idea, there's kind of these vacuums, these complete voids, and positionally, second base, I saw a void. I'm not that high in Altuve, and suddenly I am high. I'm back on Mondesi. The Mondesi meter is up. I'm ready to take that. I'm ready to deal with him. I moved Baez and Mondesi over to second base, and those have become my two favorite second base players. I mean, I'm looking for tons of counting stats. I want to get power. I don't want to wait too long and have to deal with Scooter Gennett. I mean, go deeper. D. Gordon. No way. There's not a lot at second base. And so I'm starting to feel a need that I need that Javi Baez. I need that Adalberto Mondesi. Javi Baez is going for like 35. The number that I'm really happy to see is Mondesi at only 18. Only $18. They have him at 16.6. Maybe there's a little fight there. I probably can work with Mondesi there. So in terms of looking at some structures, we're going to keep getting into it. I won't go too long on that. I've got a couple other structures to debate. I was looking at, well, what do I do with that Bellinger-Hoskins stack where I just slide one of them into the outfield? Or, with Lindor going down and me not really wanting to pay that price, the stack I'm really looking at is I'm looking at that Trevor Story for power, Adalberto Mondesi balance. Because Trevor is going to give me the home runs and Adalberto is going to give me the bases. Now I'm balanced. You want to reverse it? Maybe a Trey Turner with Javi Baez stack at the middle of the field. Trey is going to lean speed. Baez is going to lean power. Now you're balanced. Maybe you crisscross the two. You want to go full power. You go Story, Baez. Those are the kind of risks that I'm looking at and how to stack my teams. I'm looking at this Hoskins Bellinger stack. So just giving you some ideas and looking at these prices. There's some cheap outfielders. So premium outfielders are going to just take spots for cheaper outfielders. And I don't necessarily want to pay up. I probably won't build around Mookie or Trout because I want the money to be able to play and to be able to put a couple more pieces in. But let's jump into the starting pitchers and see if I've got some time. I'll double back to some more points on all the prices and what I'm liking and strategies there. This is how I did the pitchers. I threw the kitchen sink at the pitchers. I threw every stat metric I could. I'm looking at home run to fly ball. I'm going month by month. I'm going over to Baseball Savant. I'm doing custom searches, and I'm changing the time frame. I'm changing the dates. I want to see them from the 4th of July on. I want to see them from August on. Maybe I just took the middle. Just trying to get a feel. And the thing is, with pitchers stuff and with fields and with different umpires, the stuff changes all the time. And so you're really trying to just get a sense who flashed some elite, who flashed super dominant, and that they might flash it again. But these guys are gonna vary throughout the season. So get who you like. And I was listening to another guy, Clay Link, and I love this idea. We're not gonna pay up for premium pitching because we're gonna find some middle tier, some aces for cheap. And what I'm seeing is what I'm calling the $20 aces this season. And then my late staff, because I've been researching these guys deep, I can make this up. I can manage. I'm going to find 5 or 6 guys that can pop and become aces that are going for $5. I'm going to bring some of those to you here. Let's get started through the tier. And I went back because we were deep in pitching. We had talked about maybe 80 guys. I don't know how deep we were. And I was like, let me pull these guys apart. And I said, well, and F it, I got to do the whole list. I got to do all the pitchers. So things got shuffled around. I made some new tiers. Let me break down some things that I like. 1 and 2, Scherzer DeGrom. Scherzer DeGrom, locked down. I couldn't drop them. They were elite. DeGrom found speed. Scherzer's got pitch mix. It's all good there if you want the premium, the best. But I can wait a little bit. I came down. I got Block A Snell. He won the Cy Young. High K rate. He was doing it all season. Block A Snell's there. These two guys are probably where I'm jumping over because there's some things I don't like. But if it goes well, they're aces again. You got Chris Sale and Justin Verlander. So Sale, great season, great Ks, but recency bias, shoulder injury. His velo in the playoffs was down at 90. I'm just scared. Are the wheels falling off? Has he finally hit his first rough patch? And he's going so expensive. He's going as a top 5 pitcher. I don't know, Chris Sale. Justin Verlander, I told you, it's just the track record. It's just the up and down seasons. It's that he's 34. He was amazing last season. He's a super ultra competitor. So Verlander, I'm okay with that. It just might not be my preference. Bauer. But Trevor Bauer at Cleveland, he broke through, and he's being undervalued price-wise. I'm all day with Trevor Bauer. He's a pitching. He's looking at advanced metrics. He's a little nerdy, but he loves pitching. He's constantly getting better. He's playing with his stuff. Trevor Bauer is an ace I like that I can get a little bit cheaper. Walker Buehler a little bit cheaper. And who I pushed down, I love Walker Buehler. So I'm looking, he was so young. I think he gets a little better next season. The fastball is so hard. And Garrett Cole. And Garrett Cole, yeah, the beginning of the season, he was dominant for 17 weeks, but it came back just a little bit at the end. He's not going that far. This is still your 7th, 8th pitcher. I got Garrett Cole there. And they started to break up into little tiers. So I'm going to break down. So I got another little tier here. You got Noah Syndergaard. And it's been injured. I'm not sure what velo he can throw at because he showed he couldn't keep the 100-mile-an-hour stuff going. It was the lat strain. And then he thought he was good, but he couldn't keep it going. It was his finger. So there's definitely some uncertainty if he can really work at the velocities he works at. But the upside is so immense. I mean, we're still waiting for it to happen. I mean, Thor's just huge. It's worth taking the wild card on, depending on the price. Carlos Carrasco, crazy Arsenal. He was really great at the end of the season. He's still good there. And now we have a tier. I hit this little cluster of 6 guys. One of them's a surprise. And I think this is your last group of aces. And a jumper up for me here, Clayton Kershaw. And I know with the back, but I looked at how he went. When he does pitch and when he goes, we're talking about multiple Cy Young winner Clayton. I mean, Clayton, this is mid-2s ERA Clayton. And this may be one of the few seasons that he comes at some level of cheap because he's hurt. Little bit came out that he says he wants to be able to find some of his velo, or he wants to recapture his velo. Listen, Clayton, I don't care what your velo is. I want you to recapture your ability to go 30 games. Just work through the back and get some health. But Clayton's only 31. Well, pitchers have pitched. I mean, we're buying Rich Hill. He's 39. Scherzer is going at 35, 36. So I'm not ready to take Clayton and just throw him in the scrap heap. He's done. He can't pitch at all because when Clayton goes, he's great. So I bumped him up because I saw flashes. And, if he gets injured and he's out for the season, I'll just throw him on the DL. We're talking 12-team leagues. There's a replacement. I'll just throw him in the scrap heap. My bench is going to be filled with pitchers. I'll deal with it. Because when he goes to the innings, you'll be like, oh, my God, Clayton just went, 7 shutout, 10K. Yeah, that's Clayton Kershaw. So I wasn't ready to push him all the way down. Nola, the team is getting better. The lineup's better behind him. Jumped up to be the ace, but there's a little piece. I have him here. Severino, great in the beginning of the season. Super hard stuff. But like I said, I'm starting to get a little scared of 99 velocity because you can't stay there. You can't stay there forever. The arm doesn't hold up, and there's a little bit of fluctuation or even injury risk. But Sevs started getting hit a little bit badly at the end of last season. The K to B percentages weren't premium the whole season. I still love Sevs. I got him in this tier. And here's the surprise guy. And this is my cheap ace of the day. If you're fading in and out, Zach Wheeler was showing excellent stuff at the end of the season. We have a prospect that was constantly injured, Tommy John. Then he had a hard time getting back in the rotation. But he's in there fighting with DeGrom. He showed some serious stuff last season. I'm just high on him because of the numbers. I'm going to get some pieces of Zach Wheeler. I pushed him up really high. The values and the costs aren't really in line with that. Okay. There was one phrase from Madison Bumgarner that had me push him all the way up into this tier. Something came out. He says, if Bochy runs an opener out, I'm walking out of the stadium. I'm walking off the field. I'm not pitching if there's an opener. I just like that attitude. I just like that that's the approach that he's going to take. Bumgarner doesn't think that his stuff is gone. He still thinks that he's an elite top 10 pitcher. And as long as he thinks that and he trains properly in the offseason, I'm okay for him to work through the shoulder stuff. I think there's still upside here, and he's coming cheap because a lot of people are scared. And in the end, this is, what we're paying for in the draft, and what I'm seeing in the values is certainty versus uncertainty. And people want to pay a lot for certainty, for locks. That's why Mookie and Trout, the 1 and 2, $60 players. But if it's risky and it's upside and the word is, and he burned me last season and you're not sure, suddenly the prices come down. But I'm going to live a little bit in uncertainty because I'm going to put a lot of high-risk uncertainty onto my team because I saw a little something through the numbers. I believe in the bounce back. I want these teams to spike and blow up. So Bumgarner's back up here. German Marquez, again, I've been touting him all season. German is similar to Walker Buehler in a bad park. I mean, he's 23-24. We haven't seen how great this dude could be. His stretch run at the end of the season was so flashy, and he's coming for cheap. Let me just jump over to some prices here on the starting pitchings because I got to show you that I'm talking about some $20 aces and looking at the gaps here. Max Scherzer, 43, 45. You want to pay for the ace. Okay. Chris Sale going for 40 despite the shoulder. No discount for the shoulder injury. Okay. Kluber for 30. But look down. Walker Buehler, $25. Noah Syndergaard, $25. This is what I'm talking about, $20 aces. Carrasco, 22. Bauer, 22. Maybe guys have no idea yet. Those are $20 aces. It gets a little deeper. Zach Greinke for 20. No way. No freaking way. That's name recognition alone. He is not that good anymore. Straws. And then it starts to thin out. Even Bumgarner for 14. German Marquez for 14, 15. I mean, I'm describing the staff right now. Zach Wheeler for 10. But it starts to fall off after that. I'm not sure if I want Rich Hill for $3. I see the prices are a little skewed. You've got to see what really happens in the draft. Robbie Ray for 13, no way. David Price for 14, no. So I got to look to pay up. It looks like I'm going to be able to get that $20, $25 ace. Stick with me because I got some late guys. We got to keep going here. We got to keep powering through this list. I got some late guys that can flash. Ace, upside. And I added some young names in here, some prospects you have to be aware of for the call-up. And then here's a little group. I got 5 guys coming up here. They had a little step right in between them, different characteristics, but they're still in the ace range. Patrick Corbin. The only thing making me uncomfortable with Patrick, I know the slider is his best pitch. He's throwing it 40% of the time. He's just throwing sliders. I get that it's a great slider, but is Washington going to let him just throw his slider? Or are they just going to put the 3 down? Just go ahead, slider. I mean, that's all he's going to throw is the slider the whole time? I'm not sure. Corey Kluber. We're seeing the first little hint of regression from Corey. Just a little bit of regression. He's still studly, so I've got him here. James Paxton, injury riddled, but the hard stuff. I always like the hard stuff. Clevenger and Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo got it back at the end of last season. I think he had some mechanical issues. The swinging strike is up there. The fastball is 96, 97. I pushed Castillo up here. We were drafting him as an ace last season. It was a rough patch. Let's not disappear on him. We'll see what we can get for value. And it's starting to get a little bit, it's getting a little funky here. I dropped 2 names in, Strasburg, Carlos Martinez. When Strasburg goes, it's ace, it's top 10. It's the injuries. He's getting 31. We don't know if he can bring him a full season, but if you're living in uncertainty, you can be okay with some Strasburg and throw him on your DL. Carlos Martinez, yeah, I'm still getting in there. I threw Fulton Nilix all the way up here just because of the hard stuff, because the fastball is 97, 98. He took a step forward. He's learning how to pitch. He's 27. He hasn't really, his elbow hasn't balked yet. The mechanics are pretty good. He's on the Atlanta Braves, so he gets the run support. Maybe he gets better. And what we're seeing from guys that throw hard, they have to throw hard. You can throw hard for a little while, and then you have to learn how to pitch. And there's a chance Fulty's learning how to pitch. And he's kind of harnessed that high velo, and he's become a better pitcher. Maybe he pitches a little bit better again. Fulty's showing signs. Jack Flaherty. I know he wore down at the end of last season, but Jack Flaherty, he's good. He showed that he's a top 15, top 20 pitcher through stretches last season. I got him way up here. And it's going to become more matter of taste. I got an 8-guy tier coming up. 8-guy tier. A little bundle. Maybe this is an area I got to work through. I got to fix some of this. I push some things up into it that you may not want to risk it on. Tanaka, Barrios, Kikuchi. Yeah, Kikuchi. Kikuchi for free. Because he came across, there's no track record on him, there's no book, but I'm hearing he throws hard. I'm hearing he might be an ace. Kikuchi, sure. Michaelis. That's like last year's Kikuchi. Comes over from International. We don't know. Michaelis. Jameson Taillon, still kind of floating around here. Chris Archer. Yeah, I know he's just fastball slider, and we're getting frustrated because he doesn't have the third offering, but he had a couple good games at the end of last season. He's young. He's a competitor. I think he can still work on his stuff. It's going to be a lot of Ks. Maybe he gets touched up. Maybe Pittsburgh has him ride the fastball too much, and there's a little bit of risk there. But he will have good games. He'll get it going from time to time. Two guys. This is pretty speculative. Maybe don't jump in, but I did it because of how much I like him. Reynaldo Lopez, just throwing so hard. Had some good games. Outpitched his peripherals. Youngster. I think he gets a little step forward. And Matt Harvey. I did it. I mean, I'm seeing it from Matt Harvey right at the end of the season, the last couple games. Because, again, I'm breaking down. I'm looking at September, October, or August, or different months, and different just little slices to just see who popped at different times. And I got Matt Harvey way up here. The other thing I noticed is because we have hitters doing launch angle revolution, there's a lot more Ks in the game. MLB players are selling out for power. And just a little segue here. Guys want to talk about, well, you can get cheap power late. And there's a lot more power in the league. There's more home runs to go around. There's more guys hitting 20 or 25 home runs. So there's two theories. Are you going to wait because you can get late power late? Or do you have to stay out in front of power? Do you have to double down on power because there's going to be so much power out there? You got to get power with average. I'm going to subscribe to the later theory. I'm looking to go tons of power early. Stick with that. Sprinkle in speed. Back BDM theory. You got to stay out in front of the power because I don't want to live with 20 home run power late. I don't want to live with low average 25 home run power. I want upside 30 home run power. I want 30 plus from a couple guys. I want loads of power. And just a little, this is just going back. There's statistics on who's going to hit a lot of home runs this season. And it's this easy. It's who hit a lot of home runs last season. So just sort by last season's numbers, home runs. Those are going to be your home run leaders. Guys all the way down to 28 home runs, maybe 25, all the big boppers. There's your power. That's where you're going to find it. Get those guys up on all your lists because if you're running out of options or it's middle of the draft, your utility spot, throw in some cheap power late. Segue back in. Let's get back into these pitchers. And it starts to kind of be about upside here. As much as I want to talk about guys I'm up on, there's guys I push down. And one of the process I used when I was doing this, I'm looking at lists, and as opposed to shuffling my guys and just constantly moving them as I just took different metrics and looked at things from different angles, I started to color code them. If the guy had a really terrible K to B percentage, like a 10 or an 11, you're getting a red. That's not good. So I was redding guys, I was greening them, light green, and then in the end I could kind of shuffle them and just get an overall trend because there's no one tried and true metric to say this guy's going to do it. So my list just looks like a rainbow right now at this point. The next guys I'm talking about, Steven Matz, Shane Bieber, and here's the two upside picks. These guys are on the staff. The only way I can pay for hitters, skipping top pitchers, is a guy like Josh James and Alex Reyes. Super prospect. He was going to break out, tore the arm in preseason. He was going to break out, lat strain. He's back. It looks like he's going to be ready if he can make it through the preseason. It's early in the season, but Alex Reyes has potential to pop top 10. He's going for nada. So Alex Reyes, Josh James, all day. They've got to be on the teams. This is just a little segue into shares when you're drafting, and I got to get back to these pitchers. I may structure hitters differently, but the back ends of my stabs usually look the same. So different shares will be, did I want to pay for stars and scrubs? Was I paying for corner infield, middle infield? I can play with different lineups in the front. But my pitching, my late pitching, that's basically each season. That's one story. That's the same story. And those back end staffs, I will have a lot of the same guys. So my teams, I don't want to just own the whole league. I don't want to diversify and end up having to like every player, and when a team's good, the other team's bad because I don't have the players. So there is some similarity. We can get into share distribution later. But Josh James, Alex Reyes, Shane Bieber, some guys I like. Keep going a little bit. I drop down. Kenta Maeda, if he's starting again, he flashed some strikeout potential. Okay. Colin McHugh. McHugh's going over to the Astros. I think the Astros make him play up. I think that they just get a lot out of him. So I like McHugh. I don't love it. Tyler Glasnow. I got him in a special color. I use a little light blue because he's throwing so hard. He's throwing that 97. Maybe he makes a breakout. Here's some guys I kind of pushed down, but their names are here. We got Charlie Morton. A little too old for me, but okay, he's going to be a good pitcher. Nick Pivetta. Sleeper in the bus, wide awake sleeper. I don't know. Pavetta's got home run issues. He took a step forward, but I don't know if there's another one left in him. John Gray, who I can't quit. Musgrove of Pittsburgh. I don't know. I'm not in love with it. Nathan Eovaldi. Again, I'll go there just because the stuff is so hard because there's the velo. He said he wanted to learn how to pitch. It's taken him a while to figure out that he needs movement on the fastball, but he's been tinkering. He showed some good stuff last season. I got Eovaldi up. Another little tier drop down here. Lucchesi, David Price, Jimmy Nelson, Eduardo Rodriguez. Of this group, I'm more Lucchesi than David Price. You can tell there's a little bit of ageism involved here. Eduardo Rodriguez, maybe he can't stay healthy because he's got a knee problem, and I think it's his land knee, and it just doesn't hold up for what he's doing. He might not be able to stay healthy, but those guys showed some numbers. J.A. Happ, Ryu. I don't know. Ryu was good last season. I don't love it. Here's a little group of guys that are going for a lot of money, and I don't really want to deal with them. I've got them in a little bit of red here. They're in some light reds. It's Jose Quintana, Zach Greinke, Kyle Hendricks, Hill, Robbie Ray, and Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney was walking guys, and he has a home run problem. I checked on that. I want no part of it. Robbie Ray, I think he had a one fluke season. I listed these guys here because they're going to go in drafts. They're going to be expensive. You saw Greinke's price. We just talked about it. Drop down just below them, some guys I prefer. Maybe a Carlos Rodon with no track record. I like him just because of his stuff. Yu Darvish, the strikeout maestro, gets back on track. Maybe he gets healthy, works it out. He wants to be good. He wants to be a good player. Ross Stripling was great. I didn't have him on the list. Some guys I got to reintroduce. Ross Stripling was great, but he doesn't even have a role. So you got to be aware of him. I'm not going to pay yet for that when he comes back. We've touched on him before. Let me give you 3 prospects here. We're going to try to wrap this up. So I got 3 prospects you've got to be aware of, especially upon call-ups. Is Mike Soroka of Atlanta. I believe it's Jesus Luzardo. Jesus Luzardo is an emerging ace that I don't know if he's going to break camp or when he's going to get called up, but I need a piece of that. And for my RP-SP review, Julio Urias. These are some youngsters, Soroka, Luzardo, Urias. You could stash them. You could stash them on the bench. I might get them early because they'll be coming for $1 or $2 at the very end of a draft because nobody knows about them. Some names you got to know about. I got some pitchers I don't want. It's almost like why list them? Tyler Boyd, Porcello, DeSclafani, Bundy, Gary Richards, Hamilton. Guys I don't want. That's why they're down here. I don't really want that. I pushed up who I wanted. I want the Alex Reyes and Josh Jameses of the world. Some guys I want no part of. I got them in dark red. I don't want any part of Keuchel. I don't want Fulmer. I don't want Teheran. I don't want Luke Weaver. I'm just not dealing with it. Those are guys that, throw them in there. It starts to basically become a mess down here. I was going to give you some more push downs, but why? I got 4 more prospects you've got to be in tune with. You got to listen for if they get called up. You got Michael Kopech of the Chicago White Sox. I believe it's Forrest Whitley of the Astros. Brett Honeywell is at Tampa Bay. And Mackenzie Gore, I think he might be, it might be an A's BDM. Double check me on this. So we got those guys. Those are some young upside arms that when they come up, I need pieces of that. I want to be there for all 4 of them. Maybe I'll stash them if I have room. I'd rather stash them than to throw Teheran on the end of my bench. I'd rather stash and wait. Some names I had to slip back up on the list. I got Faria, Freddie Peralta, Nick Kingham. some youngsters that were good last year in limited stretches, and they might be back on. Derek Rodriguez, I liked a little bit in San Francisco. And then I just push guys down, guys I want no part of. Tyler Anderson, Romero Gibson, Sean Newcomb, Samardzija, Gio Gonzalez, Molly, Chase Anderson. A lot of names. They're just getting pushed down. Dinelson Lamet is injured. Taijuan Walker is injured. Stroman, no way, can't play for me. You got Wade Miley. Okay, he's an Astro. The stuff doesn't look that good. Maybe you give him a pass for just being an Astro. That's fine. So those are some of my pitchers. I tried to push up who I liked. Just in closing, the quick review, I can live with Bauer. I'll take a shot on Wheeler. Late, I got to get some Alex Reyes probably, mix it in there. While we're adding prospects to your list, there's a couple guys I didn't have on here. Add in your Kyle Tucker. Add in your Nick Senzel. Look out for Bo Bichette in Toronto when he gets called up. Look out for Fernando Tatis Jr., just in case he breaks camp. There's some prospect names doing some of that prospect work for you, getting you ready. I had more to go. So I had more to go. Stay tuned. I'm going to update you on catcher. We got to get that filled out. We got to fill out closer. And then I'm going to lay out some full auction draft strategies. I'll jump into the first auction for you guys. I'll break it down. We'll apply some of the techniques we've been working on about nominating your player, how to bid up, Jungle Cat, whatever it might be. Shout out to the subscribers. You guys have me going. I'm going to have to go all season. Because another part of the season that I didn't like is that as the season tails off and I'm in the playoffs, mega grinding, ultra grinding to win games, the coverage is garbage. They want to talk about, oh, let's review next season. Where will these guys go? Next season, I'm trying to win a championship, and you guys are talking about next season because your teams fell off. I need in-depth waiver wire coverage. So we got a lot of subscribers. I mean, you guys subscribed. I got to keep bringing it. I'm gonna have to bring waiver wire updates at this point. Keep it locked. Daily Jaylee, I love the feedback. Hit me in the comments. I'm getting at you. You can add me at Twitter. You can hit the email. 1.